Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Reach coming to you here today. Another Sunday, sitting around, watching some football, more than likely to crank out a few videos. I honestly know that I'm a little bit behind. I have not done a video on WWE's Crown Jewel, which happened on Friday. Don't worry about it. We'll get to it. We'll get some videos uploaded today, give you guys some content to be checking out and seeing what we're talking about with the upcoming WWE stuff that's going down. But last night, we had UFC 230. At that, we had Daniel Cormier getting the win, and the big highlight that is coming out of there for wrestling fans is that Daniel Cormier once again called out Brock Lesnar after the fight, basically telling him to bring his newly won WWE Universal Championship to UFC, put it on the line, and Daniel Cormier says now he wants to be WWE champion as well as dual UFC champion. So we'll see what there is to come of this. Honestly, my first reaction when Brock Lesnar won the Universal Championship, I'll be 100% honest, I didn't know that was on Friday. I honestly was thinking that the Crown Jewel pay-per-view was on Saturday, so I come home from work, open up my computer, pop open on Twitter, I see a few trending topics. One of them's Brock Lesnar. I honestly clicked on it thinking that more than likely it was going to be something involving him either not being able to get into Saudi Arabia, or there was a little thing in the back of my head thinking that maybe he failed one of his USADA tests as he's trying to get tested and get ready for his return to UFC, especially with the Daniel Cormier fight happening this weekend. But it ends up that Brock won the title, beat Braun Strowman in a very short match, and now he's the champ again. And I've honestly said that I think one of the things that got me a little bit bored of WWE as of late was Brock being the champion not being around, and I just said, here we go. They're going to do it to me again, and there's really not going to be anything really to get behind, because, I mean, they do have a good storyline going on between Rollins and Ambrose, and we don't even really know when they're going to be able to have a match because of Crown Jewel, him being in the World Cup, and then Ambrose, not being able to fight Rollins at Survivor Series because of the Raw versus SmackDown deal. I know that this is wrestling-centered videos, but this is honestly supposed to be about UFC, so we'll get a little bit back on topic. But Daniel Cormier, after his fight last, it was a couple months back, Brock came into the octagon with Dana White, openly challenged him. They had a little bit of a pushing and shoving, which people honestly thought that match was going to be on this UFC 230 show, seeing how they needed to have a main event at Madison Square Garden. A little bit of the appeal about UFC being in New York is worn off. Now people are starting, I guess you can say, notice the ticket prices. And even though Daniel Cormier was in there and he's one of the best fighters in UFC, you can tell that attendance was down at the UFC show. They're going to make a lot of money off of pay-per-view, so it's not like UFC is crying poor over this whole ordeal, but it does cost a lot of money to run Madison Square Garden, and they needed to have a big main event there. And Brock Lesnar making his return. The only thing that, sort of held that up was, Brock failed his test last time he fought against Mark Hunt at UFC 200. So they're having to wait until Brock is cleared, which I think is going to be somewhere around January. We can really tell from Brock Lesnar's appearance at Crown Jewel, he is leaner. So maybe he is honestly taking the testing for real. Maybe UFC and USADA are taking the testing for real, and he's actually having to stay off of whatever enhancers he would have been on that are not backed by UFC that he's allowed to use. This fight's going to go down. It's just a matter of when. And I'm wondering if maybe, this fight isn't, scheduled to happen until maybe January to February. Can UFC and WWE come onto a deal where basically, Brock's going to be the champion for a while. Brock, if Brock wins the belt now, it's not like he's just going to be dropping it, on a random Monday Night Raw, to anybody. I mean, who in WWE can you really honestly take seriously to fight against Brock Lesnar? It's going to be fun to watch the AJ Styles match at the Survivor Series, but, can they draw on this where basically they can get an appearance fee maybe for Daniel Cormier to come in? I'm not saying he's going to wrestle, but for him to come in at the Royal Rumble, maybe if they find out they have to delay the fight a little bit, which I don't think UFC is going to want. Maybe can they do something at WrestleMania where they have a little bit of a pull apart there? That would be, good for UFC because, you honestly have, the Sports Center kind of feel where they're covering this. Brock has a match against somebody. He gets the win. After this, Daniel Cormier gets in the ring. Maybe they use him as the special enforcer, the special guest referee. There's a little bit of pushing and shoving. Next thing you know, wrestling fans want to order UFC to see these guys really fight. So it really could help them out. So as of right now, people were pointing towards 230. That didn't happen. Now we're, waiting to see when Brock is going to get cleared and go from there. But there definitely is some stuff out there in the air. Like, man, this is going to be fun once this honestly goes down, and we're going to be seeing this sooner than later. Let's just see how WWE can draw on this in the future.